Thanks for joining me live on Jamaicans.com for Shelf Life. Remember to like this page, share the program with your friends, and of course, drop us a line in the comment section below. Welcome to Shelf Life. My guest this week is an award-winning author, an educator, coach, and international speaker. She's Andrene Bonner. She studied theater arts at the Edna Manley College in Kingston and language and literacy in New York. Her latest book, Long Walk to Cherry Gardens, is the long-awaited sequel to No Life in Olympic Gardens, a fantastic book that I thoroughly enjoyed. It was the winner of the Tamarind Festival's 2009 Lorna Goodison Caribbean Award for Transformative Literature. Now it's time for me to have that chat with Andrene. Andrene, welcome to Shelf Life. It's so good to have you. I so love your writing.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. And I'm so happy to be here with you.
Man, let me tell you, I want to get into the books, and I usually like to talk to the author before I get into the books, but I have to start by telling you that I didn't read, I inhaled your books. And we'll get to talking about the books afterwards, because first I really want to get to know you. People need to get to know you because, well, we read your books, but we want to learn something about you. So you were born and grew up in Jamaica. Which part of Jamaica you come from?
Kingston 10, Kingston 11, in that general vicinity.
Okay, so you grew up in just a regular Jamaican family, like so
regular. But I am not going to join you on the regular part. I don't think it was so regular. Okay. My mother was a school teacher, of course. She taught at the old Conversorium, which later became Central Branch Primary School.
I have to say this, because many writers tell me, oh, my mother was a school teacher. I've heard that over and over and over again.
But them teach
all kind of stuff, English, maths, but they were just school teachers. So many writers have told me that. So your mother was a school teacher, and that kind of helped you teach.
Yes. She was primary school teacher, so they taught everything.
Okay.
They taught everything. But she was a literature major. She loved stories, and she liked to recite, and that sort of thing. And so that's who I grew up with. And again, of course, my father, he owned a commercial academy.
Okay.
And of course, Mama went to in Kingston. So he taught young people shorthand, typing, accounting. Wow. And then Mama went to Dada school. That's a whole nother story. And
but it probably explains. It probably explains somewhat why you ended up in the arts, because you ended up at Edna Manley studying theater arts.
Yeah.
We can tell just from all of it. My
acting career started from I was like about 4. To be honest. When I was in primary school, my very first play, The Rainbow Fairies, I was maybe about 5. Yeah, maybe about 5. And I was dancing in the play. I was one of the fairies. I remember my father's son was a little boy named Hartley White, beautiful round-faced boy. And the teacher took me off the line, I guess, because she probably think me never have no rhythm. So that was very traumatic for me. And I've been looking for all the little children who grew up with me or who were in that play with me, who never had who had an opportunity to perform. Me never seen all of them in the theater, It has been a life sentence for me, To
be in the theater. To be in theater has been a life sentence for you.
Oh yes, it has been a life sentence. Oh my goodness. I had the good fortune when I went to high school to have a young man named Trevor D. Rohn. He discovered my talents. Trevor D. Rohn had just come back from England, child, and he was He was so fine, you know. And of course, I went to an all-girl high school, Mergrove High School in Constance Spring area. And so you had Trevor Rohn coming back with his British learning. And of course, I follow back at him like he was the Pied Piper.
Love
and
Trevor
that's
Rohn.
where yes, me too. As a matter of fact, I must say that he was one of the persons who really got me interested in playwriting. Because I remember some years ago, I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I called him and I said, oh my gosh, I'm working with these young people. Could you send me the script for Rising Generation? I think it would be fantastic to do a really good Jamaican version of it or Caribbean version of it. Him said, me no know nobody else can write like you. Why you not just go write your play? Just write your play, man. Write your play. And that's, well, of course, you know, that's not how he spoke, you know.
I know.
You know.
That's not how he spoke.
Yes. So, and then back to my parents who were talking about mama and dada. And of course, they really they got us in the church. And then in the church, I did a lot of reciting and singing. And so theater happened in I had so many entry points, you know. I used to take Ira D. Sankey and learn the hymns like poetry and recite them in church, you know, just so I would not offend the good godly people. So I would recite those. I just anything to recite. I do not. I already thank you for them. Yes.
So
and that's how
you were talking about your play, right? So
yes.
How many plays have you written? Tell us something about the plays that you've written, because I know you're a writer of many things.
Yes. I have written several plays, and in fact, one of my most recent pieces, Ruby, is a musical that teaches the Harlem Renaissance, and it was fantastic. We did that. We produced it at my high school maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. I wrote another one called Room 180, and it speaks about the crisis in Black America. Well, I mean, what children are kind of facing in Black America, and that one we produced at the classroom level.
Okay.
I've compiled a book of plays that I'm hoping to publish maybe early next year. It's supposed to be on schedule for this year, but I'm not quite sure if I'll be able to pull that off.
It's 2020.
Because I have.
It's 2020. Yes, so, anything can not happen.
Yes. Anything can go on, right?
Anything
can. And so that's how I kind of got into the arts and to writing.
No.
Yeah. And then of course JCDC happened.
Yes.
You know, that was a big part of my appreciation for plays and that sort of thing. Yes.
You talk about doing the work with what's happening in Black America, and I know some of your books are transformative work. There are books. You have some books that are for teens and books that are for parents. Tell me a little bit about that, how you came to that place and what those are about.
Okay, I have what I consider the academic wellness, the socio-emotional and academic wellness series that I wrote. And two of them are for parents. It's 33 short stories that teach principles that parents can incorporate into their daily life so they can help their children to succeed. That book is titled Stories to Heal Your Life, so that you can help your child succeed. And I have been using that book in the New York City school system for a little while. And then most recently I said, maybe I should have the parents take a deeper dive And so I created the workbook for them. So now my parents are using the workbook along with the stories to really examine how they are showing up in the world every day with their children, and how they are showing up in the world as citizens of the world, you know, to really participate as parents, creating an extended family, so to speak, in their community to help other parents with their children.
So
it's not
pretty much the village raising the village.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we have to get back to there. We have to get to that place where the village is raising the children, where the village is responsible and parents are helping each other. I think we kind of moved to a place in the world where this is my picnic. Don't tell me how to raise my child. You know, as if you're the only parent who has ever raised a child with the challenges you have.
Then of course, my students said to me, Miss Bonner, how you can go write book for our parents? And you know, write nothing about for we. And you know us more than our parents do.
So you had to do that.
So I ended up writing a wonderful workbook for them. It's called I Got It. And I got it. And these are 42 scenarios. They are affirmations to help them through the school year, so they can work along with the teacher,
right,
or with their parents, you know, just to help them, guide them through the school year.
That is something that we need in today's world. We so need affirmations for our young people. But I don't want to run out of time and we not talk about the books that I read so much. So A Long Walk to Olympic Garden was where you started the journey with Roderick. This young man who you can't help but fall in love with, because he's really such a sweet little young man, little boy, but he has been thrown into the most horrible of situations. And what I found about him was that there was a resolve in him that no matter what, he was going to succeed. So the character of Roderick follows up in your new book, Long Walk to Cherry Garden. And we've been waiting for a long time for the long walk to make it from Olympic Gardens to Cherry Gardens. And you have finally taken us on that journey. Your character, Roderick, was Roderick created from somebody you know? Was it an experience, or how did your characters, because we had Roderick, who was the young man, he had his friend who just wouldn't let him go, and the adults who played various roles in his life, some of them very bad and some of them very good. But Roderick himself and your characters, where did they come from?
Roderick is a little boy that grew up in Jamaica, come from country. Mother sent him away to Kingston to come live with her sister. And he was like many little boys that I grew up seeing in my community. In fact, my mother was kind of like an unorthodox foster parent. You know, families would, you know, go travel abroad, you know, relatives would travel abroad, and they would send their children to come and live with us. And of course, they had the opportunity to go to school. But I noticed some kids in my neighborhoods, you know, and that didn't go to school. You know, they were actually working, doing menial work. So I was very much familiar with that character. And they were illiterate. Those children were illiterate. They never had an opportunity to experience or have access to education. And so Roderick is a lot like a lot of boys in Jamaica and girls in Jamaica.
Yeah, and in many ways he reminds me of some of the boys who are wiping windshields on at the stoplights. That when I think of your Roderick, that's who I think of. You know, and it's
so true, so true. And I know that, you know, we need somebody to wipe our windshield. All right. So we need somebody to wipe our windshield. But my gosh, make the picnic them go to school, no?
Yes.
Let them go to
That
the
was
school.
what was appalling, was that his aunt, who he came to live with, just saw him as the Cinderella. You know, her kids were the Cinderella stepsisters, you know, well fed, well taken care of. And him was supposed to go live in the back room with the cockroach and the goat pen thing and just be the slave. And it was very common because your book is set back in the 60s.
Yes.
Moving right into the 70s.
And I deliberately did that because I want my character to age through the series. So we can see, because Jamaica itself was coming of age. Yes. We had just, we're a newly independent country. So I am examining those issues as well. You know, we coming of age as a country, and of course, Roderick coming of age as well. Right. And so he is aging as the series develops.
Mm-hmm. And you brought in a lot of the characters that we would have seen, everyday characters, of course, the Rasta man. And I thought of the Rasta man when you brought him in too, because it was the age of the Black Heart Man, where the Rasta man was the Black Heart Man. And you were told to fear the Black Heart Man and the police brutality that existed around the Black Heart Man. How much of the politics of the book, because there's so much politics, it's so rich, there's so much politics and so many themes buried within this book. How much of the politics is stuff that you experienced yourself, because you would have been also growing up during that period of time?
Olympic Gardens is a beautiful, beautiful town when I moved there. So I have firsthand knowledge of the beauty of the place, the family. It was a nice family setting. The life of the story, we are seeing an emerging garrison coming. I was fortunate to move before it really became what it became at one period in our history. But it was a wonderful family neighborhood. And so I wanted to put that there. I wanted to preserve that beauty, you know, like you have Mr. Goodman, the Rasta man, you know, they were teaching Roderick. Okay, so you know, send a little boy go to school. But guess what? No. The Rasta man teach him.
Yes.
He must learn Black history from the Rasta man. Yes. He must learn about music.
Yes.
But him also now is seeing a little bit of the dark side emerging. And so he has to find within himself the strength and the resilience, you know, to resist the dark side. So I really had to go there with that, because I saw that. I actually saw police beat a Rastaman, you know, because he wouldn't sling gun for politician.
Yes, that was, and that was what was happening at the time, because that's exactly how the garrisons pretty much came about. And what I found interesting about the book, and I know I use that word a lot, but what I found interesting is that I don't know that Olympic Gardens. I know the Olympic Gardens of the 1990s and the 2000s. And I did not recognize that Olympic Gardens or that Waterhouse that you wrote about. So it was wonderful. When you drive through there, you can see that there was a time when that area must have been the pride and joy of a place to live. And so that was...
And I really believe that it is our responsibility as writers to really tell the stories so that other people won't come in and distort our stories. They don't have, they come and they're fascinated with us, and they come into our communities and they want to write about we. No. We need to tell the stories. We were there. I saw Mr. Goodman. Mr. Goodman was a lot like my father. My father was the kind of guy who would help children to read. And I was teaching my dogs and cats and chickens as you know, to read also. You know? So I was writing books.
Were you successful?
I mean, listen, I used to take my father's typewriting paper, yeah? And I would write this story them and draw a picture upon him, because I got a scholarship to the Jamaica School of Art and the Jamaica School of Drama at the same time. Okay. But I took up the drama scholarship. But anyway, long story short, I used to draw pictures and take the little paper and fold it and take common pin or safety pin. I make books, so me a publish book long time. And then we would sit down and I used to raise chickens, and I had barbel doves, and what else I had? We call them barbel doves, you know, this Barbary doves. And Barbary doves.
I only know barbel dove, I don't know about the other one.
Right? And I was the little dog girl. I used to have whole heap of dog. I had whole heap of dogs. So me and my dog, them used to read for my dog them and teach them.
Well, you know, school. And speaking of reading, I have about 2 minutes. Give me an excerpt, please. Something that will... 2 minutes? Yes, something that will bring everybody to the fold, because I'm sold.
Yeah. All right. Okay. This time, Roderick feels a little cut off from the rest of the world, and he found a little radio in his room, an old radio. So he decides to go across the street to go see his friend Liz, to ask Liz if he can, you know, fix the radio for him, so he can listen to American music at nighttime, or, you know, whatever. So, chapter 5, Black Power. A whole month had slipped away, and Roderick's aunt had not sent him to school. At least he was able to carve time in the evening to tend to his little stone art enterprise, which he enjoyed. Every splash of paint on stone became beautiful paintings of birds, trees, flowers, fruits, and whatever the muses inspired. He could make an oval stone transform into what looked like a real apple with stem and all. The only thing that would add a little flavor to his art sessions was some music, especially at night. His aunt had such a hold on him, he didn't get a chance to have his radio fixed. Roderick would always find a way. It was early evening, and freedom shone for Roderick like the mirage along the way. He had followed the effulgent path on a leisurely stroll to visit his Rastaman friend Leash. He logged with the old radio on his shoulder, winced at the sizzling asphalt under his bare foot. I hope Leash can fix the radio for me. I feel so lonely when nighttime comes. Me want to hear the news and nice music from America. The house sprawled in tranquil whisper on a small incline, sunbathing its fresh coat of salmon paint on concrete walls, with rust colors that accentuated the window frames. Roderick took a deep breath, held on to 2 towering green columns. He sniffed the fragrance of the gardenias and oriental lilies that grew along the earth's outskirts of the carriageway. Psst. What Chloe doing so far up here? Only she psst me. He turned around. A man stood by a breadfruit tree at the edge of Lidge's yard, beckoned him. Come here, youth. I can't stop. This thing here heavy. Just rest it down on the ground. Need to talk to you. I wonder what he want with me today. I can't stop. Big man say you must stop. Seen? Roderick's heart skipped a beat. His hands became weighted down by the radio and he stopped. Tell the youth man in the house that big man set to link with him first thing in the morning. Yes, sir. Roderick picked up the radio and moved swiftly up the carriageway. He stumbled on a welcome mat that tossed him onto the floor, which made a loud thud. A dog barked. Roderick knocked on the door and waited. Who's there? A thunderous voice came from within. It's me, Roderick. Mr. Lige at home? You mean Lionel? Hold on. Lionel? Someone is here to see you. That name. Oh, I forget Lionel is his real name. Them don't like the Rastaman name him give himself. Moments later, Lish came to the door. A tall young man, his face shone like bronze against dark eyes and heavy lashes. He wore plaid shorts, a black t-shirt with a picture of Malcolm X etched on the front. His locks were tied together with a red, green, and gold band. Leather sandals cradled his delicate feet. He smelled like sweet oil. Roderick greeted him with a smile. Good evening. What a gone, youth man. Liz reached out and touched his shoulder. Nothing. I come to ask if you can fix the radio for me. How you know I can fix radio? My auntie say you went to school for it. She know a lot about school and yet she won't send you. She forget to tell you that is how I know how to fix radio. You can make plenty money instead of working in that shop every day. Give it to me. Let me see what I can do. Roderick handed him the radio, flashed his head from relief of the heavy radio. You mean if I go to school, I can learn to fix radio and make money? Oh, yes. But it's not every school teach you how to do them things like that, you know. Come inside and sit down. That sounds good. That's why Auntie don't want me go to school. She don't want me make no money. What a wicked woman.
Thank you so much, Andrene. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I've read it before. Love hearing you read it. Can't wait for the audiobook in your own voice. Well, you know what? we have unfortunately come to the end of another show, and it's time to wrap it up. So thank you so much, Miss Andrene, for being with me, for sharing this time with me. I can't wait until Roderick in Cherry Gardens and going somewhere else. So you know, you've gone to number 2. You know, you can't keep us waiting that long next time, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I mean, he won't leave me alone. So I am compelled to write his story. And I want to say thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your literary circle. I'm very proud of you. I've had the opportunity of watching a couple episodes of your program, and I'm very honored to be a part of the mix. You're doing very important work.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining me. I feel very honored to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, Shelf Life done for this week. I'll see you again next week. Same place, same time, when I have another author with me. Thank you so much, Andrene. God bless and walk good.
Walk good and good duppy walk with you.
Good duppy.
And if you fall down this road and get up.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me for Shelf Life on Jamaicans.com. See you again next week, same place, same time, for another look at what's on my shelf, right here on Jamaicans.com. Remember, like the page, share it with your friends, and also check out my website at jfallonread.com for more information on me and my books and films, and to catch up on the shows you missed. See you next week.